chapter 19. We'll look at verses 29 and 30. It's good to be in the house of the Lord, isn't it? John chapter 19, verses 29 and 30, and it reads out of the King James Version of the Bible, "Now there was set a vessel full of vinegar," say vinegar, "and they filled a sponge with vinegar and put it upon hyssop and put it to his mouth." Verse 30 and final, "When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, 'It is finished.' And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost." For these next few fleeting moments, I'm going to talk about it is finished. But look at your neighbor and say, "Neighbor, oh neighbor, there's a connection between vinegar and victory." Connection between vinegar and victory. And as you hear, I don't have much of a voice. My allergies been acting up, and went to the doctor the other day, and they gave me something for the allergies, and I had an allergic reaction to what they gave me. And I've been hiccuping the last 2.5 days, all day, all night, but thank God I'm not right now. But if you hear me, I'm not drunk. Somebody said, "You gonna preach and hiccup?" I said, "As sure as I'm born." But here in this scripture passage, we see here that Jesus was on the cross, and he was about to give his life up, and he, as Reverend Henderson said, he was thirsty. Now, instead of him being given some water, instead of him being given some vinegar, he was given, instead of him being given wine, he was given vinegar. Now, vinegar in the French is a French word that says sour wine. Vinegar is real sour. It's acidic. It's not very pleasantly tasting. It's not a pleasant tasting substance by itself. Anybody know what I'm talking about? But I want you to hold that thought, because we're going to show you for a second the connection between vinegar and victory. Look at somebody and say, there's a connection between vinegar and victory. Jesus was on the cross, and then when they gave him that vinegar, he said, "It is finished." Now that word "finished," it means to come to the end of a course. It means to complete or to end in a specific manner or position. Now many people get this confused, the word "finish" confused with the word "stop." The word "stop" means to hinder or obstruct or to prevent. You can stop something, but that doesn't mean you're finished. I can get on I-75 and say I'm going to Atlanta, Georgia, but I can stop in Valdosta and get me some Georgia pecans. But that's not the end of my course. I've only stopped. I have not what? Finished. Jesus knew this, so he said, "No man can take my life unless I lay it down." I want you to understand something, that vinegar is something that's bitter. It tastes nasty by itself. And many of you tonight have stopped what God called you to do. You have not finished what he put you on earth to do. For the Bible declares that when he created us, that word means thoroughly furnished and thoroughly equipped. He created you with everything in you to do what he put you to do. Look at your neighbor and say, "What are you doing?" And so we've allowed the bitterness, the vinegar, to stop us from completing what God has for us to do. Vinegar is sour. It's not pleasant tasting. But notice here, Jesus was right at the point of finishing his destiny, what he was sent by the Father to do, and the bitter vinegar was served unto him. Now watch this. Even the criminal on death row, they give them a last meal. They get to pick from a bunch of variety of foods. They can have steak or shrimp or whatever as their last meal. But they gave the Son of God something sour. They gave the Son of God the bitterness. Well, preacher, what are you saying here tonight? God will allow the bitter to come in your life right before the sweet. Oh, bless his name. God will allow the bad things to come in your life right before you're about to fulfill your destiny. Right when you're almost there. Right when you're at the point you think, okay, good, I've earned this. No. You get the bad stuff. But understand, my brothers and sisters, there are some good things in the bitterness. There's some good things about vinegar. Vinegar prevents cancer. Vinegar helps lower your blood pressure. Vinegar helps to fix your bad breath. It helps with body odor. It helps with skin problems and infections. It helps with diarrhea. It helps with stomach problems. It helps with diabetes. So you've got to understand that even though it's bitter, even though what you're going through, it doesn't feel good, even though what you're going through doesn't taste good, even what you're going through is painful, if you just hold on just a little while longer, because when you hold on, there's benefits to going through the bitter thing. You got to get to the finish line. Look at somebody say, I got to get to the finish line. Even though it tastes bad, even though I hate going through what I'm going through, I've got to finish my course. Paul said to Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 4, he said, I'm now ready to be offered up, and the time of my departure is at hand. Paul was just like Jesus. He wasn't through until he was finished. He said, I fought a good fight. I finished my course. I've kept the faith. And now there's laid up for me a crown of righteousness that the Lord, the righteous judge, y'all might as well help me preach for one more minute, shall give me at that day. And not only them, but to them that all love his appearing. You've got to understand the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but he or she that endures. You got to finish the race. You got to say, I'm going to go. If I got to go by myself, I'm going to run. If I got to run by myself, give somebody a holler and say, neighbor, you got to finish the course. I say, neighbor, I'm going to run on and see what the end's going to be. Say it.